What's up, y'all? Rich Slayton here with another great best of 5. This time, Mega Draft mode between two all-time greats, the log bait god himself, Ryley on one side, and the hog master, Ian77 on the other. Before we jump into today's video, first, a big shout out and thanks to today's sponsor, Guns Up Mobile. Check it out right now. Today's video is brought to you by Guns Up Mobile, the online PvP strategy game that takes tower defense to the next level. Build your army, bolster your defenses, and take to the battlefield with tons of upgradable units and abilities to dominate your opponent. Guns Up features fast-paced, PvP-focused gameplay where you need to outsmart other players with strategy and tactics. Play alongside your friends in alliance battles to earn more loot and rise up the leaderboards. The Battle Pass provides daily and special missions to unlock more rewards to help grow your army. Along with PvP, Guns Up features special game modes that test your abilities in new and exciting ways, like Zombies, where your troops make their last stand in a forest surrounded by a horde of the undead, or Prison Break, where a crack team of your best and brightest must raid an enemy camp to rescue prisoners with nothing but a small team. Download Guns Up Mobile for free from the link below, and I'll see you on the battlefield. All right, let's get into today's match, and joining me on the cast, the champion coach, the world champion coach for Mohamed Light this year, Jebus. Jebus, I'm so excited to have you on this one. It's going to be a great match, and of course, we are all loving Mega Draft.
Hey Rich, how are you? How are you doing? Yeah, let's see. I'm very excited to cast my first Mega Draft.
Well, let's get right into the picks here. Ryley versus Ian, and the first thing you see is Ian grabbing Goblin Barrel before Ryley can even touch it.
Do you remember when I said they will pick, for example, a lot of comfort here? Ian decided to pick Barrel, so Ryley doesn't have a chance to really play his best deck. And Ryley loves cycle deck, so he easily choose the Miner as well. And he chose Arrows as well, because that's the only direct counter to Barrel, besides Delivery, but Delivery won't really do well against the other bait cards, so Arrows is a
wonder, I'm a little surprised here with the Zap pick, maybe for Cycle. I almost thought maybe he would go Arrows Delivery so he could use Arrows for the Princess and Delivery for the Goblin Barrel.
The thing is, Zap is better on offense as well.
Fair point. Fair point, especially with the Miner in there, yeah.
Maybe he's trying to combine the Zap with the win condition he's going to pick. I don't know if he will pick something else besides Miner, but for example, if he picked an RG or an E-Giant, I don't think he'll pick E-Giant because there's no NATO. For example, but RG would be good with Zap or Balloon.
And the Archer Queen pickup for Ryley now with some Furnace and that Furnace could be nice a little bit also to make it harder to barrel in a given lane to a certain degree. And notice, keep in mind here for Ian that the only big spell on the board is Lightning, which really isn't the big bait spell you want.
But he could pick Lightning because of Queen, and it looks like Ryley might pick a Balloon deck. For example, he could pick Ice Golem and Balloon as his next cards, but I don't know.
Does Ian go Lightning here for the Queen? No, he goes Zappies instead, and that's almost dangerous. I guess he's betting that Ryley won't go triple spell, and so he can pick Lightning on his final pick on pick number 6. So we'll see if that's the case here. Mega Knight pick 7 for Ryley, and I guess the Monk and Fisherman will be the two best ways to control the Mega Knight here.
Ryley just straight up went with the Balloon. Okay, I was thinking maybe he's not gonna pick Balloon after all, but he picked Mega Knight and Balloon. That's a great pick. The bad thing about Ryley's deck is his defense and his cycle. His cycle will be very sketchy sometimes.
And opting not to go Lightning here, and I'm not sure. Does Ian always throw that emote out against Ryley, or is he a little upset about the way that pick went?
Ian always throws emotes against almost everyone, so I don't know.
And you see, of course, two friends here. Arrows out of cycle, so easy choice there from Ian to go Barrel. Furnace is the counter, but it does get the lead back to Ian a little bit here, 29-41 to 29-32.
What was the last card he picked? Inferno Dragon?
Inferno Dragon, yep, that was pick 8, and so you see that here for Ian.
Yeah, it's He doesn't have a spell as well to kill the furnace. It will be interesting.
And that zap does not quite stop the monk from doing what it wants. It does keep the Archer Queen alive just a smidge,
Yeah.
but probably won't be
He
a big
he
issue.
he zapped so his queen could stay alive and he could kill the rest of the troops.
Wallbreaker's opposite lane, going with the zappies rather than delivery. Didn't want to be late on that reply for Ian.
It's interesting because Ryley had minions as well to pick, and since he's playing like a Mega Knight, Minor Lawbreakers type deck, minion as well could have been a good pick here instead of something else.
And this is interesting, like the interplay for Ian between the barrel, the princess, and the arrows. We'll see
Yeah,
him keep on working that.
guards as well, zappies as well because arrow zap kills the zappies since Ryley has balloon.
Little shots there from Ryley on the right-hand side. Ian still holding on to the lead, though, 24-91 to 23-56. How important is it in this matchup as we get into double elixir here in a moment that Ian does not have any building to potentially pull that balloon? Or is that irrelevant because of the Inferno Dragon?
Well, single elixir, it happened what we were expecting. Ryley's cycle is not the best, so Ian managed to pressure a lot. And if Ryley can now stack some furnaces, build big pushes like he needs to do, it will be very hard for Ian to defend. I don't know if he needs to try to go opposite lane of that. See, like he played a Mega Knight, so he plays barrel instantly. Wow, the furnace countered the Goblin Barrel. That was Ryley has been watching Bob the Rock. playing.
Well, perfect timing there, and here we go. Inferno Dragon in response to the balloon. Zap is not going to retarget the Inferno Dragon, though. And so it will go down. Death damage in. Monk working on the left-hand side, by the way. Barrel now in the furnace. Not going to hit at the right time, so arrows have to come out. And Ian still holding on to the lead as we go into sudden death overtime. 17-10 on the right-hand side, 19-64 on the left-hand side. And still over 2K in both lanes is the Hog Rider.
These small offenses from Ryley, I don't think they're the best way to attack. He just needs to do the big pushes from the back, maybe Mega Knight on the back. Queen on the back is very solid because it helps him use the 3-card cycle.
Mega Knight tanking for the balloon. Zap resets, keeps it on the Mega Knight. Zappies come out way behind, and that balloon can't do much of anything. Arrow's trying to make room. Will the balloon hit? And it does, just like that. Ryley taking back the lead, just under around 80 seconds left in the game.
The first small big push he made, he already got a balloon. Just so you can see how hard it is for him to stop the balloons.
Queen high. Monk will pull both of those fire spirits.
Not gonna die, so... Oh, he died because of the princess. Nice. Nice princess by Ian. Interesting Mega Knight.
Maybe we'll see a barrel to the right-hand side here in a minute. There we go. Barrel does go to the right. Arrows out of cycle now. Ryley going to be in a lot of trouble. He's going to need a lot of damage. Maybe just trying to get a bigger connection here. And he does. Gets a huge connection. GG, well played. Ryley taking game number 1. And, you know, one of the questions here about this game mode is whether or not there's too big of an advantage for the player who's in the first pick, but we just saw here that that wasn't a problem at all. Our first pick player falling to a really nice selection and late game play by Ryley.
Yeah, this offense by Ryley was very smart because he knew Ian only had the Zappies, so he knew if he arrow zapped the Zappies, he would get a hit for sure, and then the miner would finish off the tower as well. And like you were saying, Ian was the first pick and he lost because he picked a niche win condition, sort of, because Goblin Barrel has a lot of counters, you know. On the other hand, Ryley picked Miner, which can fit on almost any deck, you know. So I think maybe picking Barrel wasn't the best idea for him.
Yeah, you saw kind of the trying to take a chip
Mind
out of mind games, but Ryley ended up with the better deck and the better gameplay in the end. And here we go into our second round of picks. Ian taking Hogs off the board first, and Ryley back to Miner again with Miner Poison his first 2 picks.
I think Ryley will always pick Miner if he's allowed to, because he plays that sometimes as well, and he's very solid with it.
Does Ian pick NATO here? No, he leaves NATO on the board. And that's an
They don't want to
question.
pick. They don't want to pick the champions because there's Monk on the board, there's Lightning on the Queen, so they're waiting for their moment to pick the champion as well.
It's very interesting, and I think Ian, often there's thoughts that you want to pick your win condition later in the draft rather than earlier, but Ian seeing Hogs and seeing no Fireball, I think made a pretty good call here, getting the piggies early, and now he picks up NATO to help work against those miners.
Ryley here picked arrows. I don't know if he did it on purpose, but it also shuts down the Firecracker threat. Ian can't pick Firecracker anymore, I think.
Queen
Because
now the
the
pick for
Hog
Ryley.
would have been very good.
Yeah, Firecracker would have been very nice here, but you're absolutely right. Arrows does shut down that direction. Poison plus arrows, now Cannon Cart for Ryley.
Lightning and Monk would be very solid here, I think. Because you kill Cannon Cart, you kill the Queen. I don't think Ian will. I don't think Ian will go for it though.
Heal Spirit, and maybe he knows, he sees, hey, poison and arrows already for Ryley, and he's making the smart call of, I can afford to wait to pick Lightning until the 8th pick, because unlikely for Ryley to take it.
Yeah, I think Ryley will pick Drill here maybe, or X-Bull.
Drill will be interesting with the Dark Prince though.
Yeah, but it's for defense mainly. Okay, Goblin Hut. Okay. But here he needed to pick a building, so maybe I was like, maybe he can pick Drill because it's a building. It's also an offense. I don't know. And he had arrows, so once Dark Prince is out, he could arrows Goblins, for example.
And for the second time,
again.
wow.
I think that's a mistake. Because Ryley has solid troops. He has Queen, he has Cannon Cart. Once again, Ryley picks a spawner, and Ian doesn't have a spell for it.
Yeah, the no lightning pick, a little surprising here. And I'm trying to think how much I've seen Ian play decks that run lightning. Maybe he just doesn't like it very much. Could be at the very basic level.
I've seen Ian playing, for example, RG Lightning. The Giant obviously runs lightning, so I don't know. Interesting. Maybe he thought like Monk is okay. Monk counters Queen, but I think he should have went for both counters to not give him a chance. Nice push.
This is you're absolutely right. A very nice push. He knows, and this is again how different this game mode is from traditional Clash Royale, where, hey, you wouldn't be sure how many situations would you not throw that push because you don't know if there's a fireball or a rocket or something like that.
Exactly. They know the exact 8 cards, so they can do those little things.
Absolute, complete. It's almost like a different game in some ways, and and this is a big reason why I enjoy Mega Draft.
It also resembles to Leather, because on Leather I play against a player and I already know their deck from top Leather. So these plays also happen on top Leather. You see a lot of rough single elixirs.
Very interesting. We hadn't heard that comparison before, but it certainly is an apt comparison as we go closer to double elixir time. Ian again in the lead early, so the question is, can he maintain this lead as we get later into gameplay?
He doesn't have a spell, and he doesn't even have a range unit. It's gonna be scary, double and triple, especially triple. Triple, Ian is gonna be in big trouble.
Miner to the opposite lane, away from the cannon cart.
I like how Ryley switched lanes, because playing same lane allows Ian to have the monk, and sometimes he could sneak some hogs in. Maybe Ryley wants to switch lane because of that.
And you see what Ian was trying to do there. He was trying to keep the monk alive without having to use its ability to counter the Archer Queen. But the monk does die a little earlier than he'd hoped, and instead he has to contend with a pretty strong Archer Queen. Here we go. Miner left-hand side, guards behind. Heal Spirit controls up high. Goblins do a good job down low, but this Goblin Hut continuing to create problems for Ian. You see, a little annoyed by that one.
And Ian didn't play the ability, so his monk also dies straight away. But it's okay because now his Monk and Riley's Queen are on the same cycle.
Pigs one more
Nice
time to the
hoggies.
right-hand side. Yes, nice hoggies again. And you see
But
again,
Riley, or but Goblin, sorry.
that's a nice NATO to clean all of that up, and it looked like it was going to be too much to handle, but the NATO does it. And no, the Heal Spirit falls, and Cannon Cart's going to do a lot of damage in the right-hand lane.
Riley really abused the Goblin Hut that he had down, and now he has a lot of advantage in terms of elixir. Nice activation.
Yeah, good. Very good King Tower activation and control up high, and now Pigs behind the Dark Prince once more.
Amazing heal spirit.
Go ahead.
It was a very good heal spirit, but Riley managed to defend anyways.
And a nice bar barrel there just to control the minions. 15-18 to 15-11, triple elixir. Here we go.
If Riley doesn't do, for example, let's say a stupid mistake here, I think he wins because Minor Poison will chip more than Hoggies.
And that's good reflection by them. That Monk got a ton of value reflecting all over the board. Trying to break through a little bit more here is Ian on the right-hand side. Dark Prince does not connect. New Dark Prince set up, and this is a massive push. Ian just trying to keep the pressure on Ryley, and what a NATO to pull to the opposite lane here. Can he get a ton of damage out of it? And that is a nice advantage. Now under just around 800 HP on the right-hand lane.
I think he won because of that.
What a play, what a play here. Can the Minor Poison cycle and the pressure get it done? Plus arrows, keep that in mind as well. And now here we go. Ian just diving in that right-hand lane. Ryley puts down poison. Can he get down arrows as well? Can they steal? They cannot. And there you go. Ian gets one back, and they are all tied up through 2 games.
I really liked how Ian kept the pressure. And Riley couldn't really Minor Poison how we wanted in Triple Elixir, because if Riley could Minor Poison like he's supposed to, Ian would have lost. So Ian was very smart to always pressure and to always have Monk in cycle, because once he has Monk in cycle, Riley can't really do a lot of Queen pushes, which is the hardest thing for Ian to defend.
Yeah, absolutely very difficult for him to defend. And man, what a really fun. This is turning out to be the exact kind of matchup you want. So let's go ahead and jump in to our third game in this one. And you'll see now that Ryley is the one requesting. He gets first pick, as loser will always get first pick. And yeah, Goblin
Maybe
Barrel.
He goes Goblin Barrel.
Ooh,
I feel like he goes Goblin Barrel because he went Minor several times. Oh, he went arrows because, wow, he picked one of the only counters for Barrel. That's smart.
And you're definitely seeing some tendencies here between these two.
Obviously, I told you they're gonna pick their comforts. There's no way they go Giant or something because they don't know, for example, how a Giant of meta deck will do.
And Ryley just picking all the components here. We'll see what Ian responds with. Minor Wall Breakers. He does not currently have. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like Ryley will pick Golden Knight if he's allowed.
So here we go. That's one okay counter. Not a great counter to Goblin Barrel, but the Hunter can do a good job countering when placed in the correct square.
Yeah. He picked Mighty. I was going to say Valkyrie, but now I don't know if he's going to pick Valkyrie, Ian.
Well, definitely not now that Ryley picks it up. And does Ryley go Golden Knight as well to support that NATO?
I think Ryley goes, for example, Bomb Tower now. Or Barrel. I'm not sure. But he's trying to build a Logbait tech here. I think.
Cannon Cart now. And that was my next question is, it feels like Ian has to go with the Fireball just so he has a spell to counter Barrel if that's the pick in those important moments.
Yeah. Ryley also still has open Drill Golden Knights. So maybe he's trying to do that. Because Ian right now doesn't have a lot of Goblin Drill counters.
People have been, I mean, the picking has been very upfront so far. This is the first time we've seen one of these two players in this matchup kind of obfuscate their path, right? Ryley has two paths here where Ian, it's pretty clear what he's trying to do.
He picked the Golden Knight. The E-Spirit, I don't know why he picked, maybe just for cycle. And I think Ryley will choose Drill last. Dark Prince.
With the Dark Prince, though, is that drill pick still the right pick at this point?
Do you think Ian realized that? I think he did.
I think you're right. I think he's like going, hey, now look, if it goes to barrel instead of Goblin Drill, Ian still has some difficult defenses to pull off.
Of course, yeah. He's gonna go barrel, I think, really. But I'm not sure.
You know, the fun thing about another fun thing about this game mode, Jeb, is seeing people play decks that they haven't practiced 1,000 games with. Right? They have to learn how to play the deck on the fly, which is a whole different skill set.
Something I saw from your streams as well is that some players, like obviously I'm not gonna mention the name, but I saw some players where in a normal format you would say, oh, you might lose to the other player because the other player is really good at these 4 meta decks. But since this is not meta decks, like you just said, different decks, new decks, different cards on archetypes, the more versatile player that doesn't one trick maybe something in specific will have an advantage as well.
So
I think though the only problem here for Ryley will be the Goblin, because he doesn't have a spell. So let's see how he deals with them.
So first damage done in both directions, and Ryley hoping has to eat some of that. There's the E-Spirit preventing most of that damage in. And of course, this is nice for Ryley, the NATO pick, just to make the miner more predictable, at least early on. And just poor situation there. Ian setting up low and high and completely covering that, and now with a nice bit of stuff going the opposite direction.
Ryley played the barrel there because once you play the hunter, the goblin barrel always gets one hit corner of the tower. Nice mighty miner. He predicted the ability.
Yeah, these guys both. And you're talking about two players who know each other really, really well, right? So not only do they know the game really well, they know each other really well, and we've seen a lot of that counter play, that prediction play, back and forth, just being a little step ahead here on both sides of the board as we get down to the final minute. Double elixir, 16-19 on Ryley's right-hand.
They're also both cycle players, so they know how annoying Golden Knight is.
Very true. Nice NATO here. Golden Knight gets in the dash, and Cannon Cart will keep on working there. Arrows just to get the Dark Prince off the board as well and get all that down low. But what does Ryley do about this big push? Guards low, Valk high, E-Spirit cleans it up and mitigates most of that damage fairly nicely. And what a cheeky NATO play out of Ryley there to guarantee the connection from the Goblin Barrel. 976 now. Wall breakers taken care of by the arrows. And as we go into sudden death overtime, less than 100 HP separating these two.
The arrows are proving to be very solid as well on this map.
And you think about that again, that's the I believe that was the first pick for Ryley. So just getting the counter to the Goblin Barrel out, and also ended up being very important. Nice Golden Knight connection. The Fireball stops some of that damage, but Ryley adds to his lead and gets a nice catch on the miner on the opposite end.
I think Ryley will take it because he just needs one or two Golden Knight dashes or some barrel damage. Nice NATO prediction.
Yeah.
Arrows takes it.
And dropping both on the same side was maybe a bit of a mistake there for Ian, as Ryley will go ahead and take that win and send Ian back to being our first picker here one more time.
Ryley also waited for Fireball to be out of, so he could play the NATO with the Golden Barrel as well. Very smart by him.
Yeah, very, very smart play by Ryley all the way around. Both these guys playing some really smart Clash Royale, some really fun Clash Royale, and of course, we're all just excited to be here for it. And Jebas, I know I've been talking a lot. Of course, Julesy, your counterpart, your rival coach, has been saying a lot that he believes that this is the most competitive game mode. That he obviously we're both very excited about it as we jump in here to our picks for game number 4. I know we're only 3. Maybe I'll save some more of your thoughts on this question when we're at the end of the match. But certainly, this is a very compelling way to play and watch Clash Royale.
I'm not sure yet because I'm one of those persons that doesn't like to say this is competitive, this is not competitive. I like to first see, to try, to have some nice data, and then I can give an opinion. But for now, it seems very entertaining, and it has a lot of strategy behind it, right?
Quite a lot of strategy behind it, for sure. I mean, the having this draft period and trying to figure out each time what's actually going on for each player, and trying to make the processing information so quickly, right? Trying to figure out all the things on the board. And we see Ian, by the way, going with Mohammed Light's favorite pick. If Log is available, Mo picks Log almost every single time, and Ian seconding that here.
Ryley didn't pick Miner. I don't know if you know this, but Ryley has I don't know if top 20 or top 10 with Pigs, EQ, Archer Queen. I think he was trying to go for that. But Ian, I think he realized something was going on, and he already picked Dark Prince. He might pick Delivery at some point. We can see a Minor Rocket from Ian, maybe.
Well, the Monk plus Dark Prince, Minor Rocket certainly would go nicely here. Very, very fast cycle. Already down to 2.6 the average. And Minor going the opposite direction for Ryley. So Ryley getting kind of funky now with these picks here in game number 4.
Could be interesting. A Minor Royal Hogs push being the Royal Hogs being tanked by the Minor.
And now this deck is just kind of all over the place. You have a Hog Mortar, a Hog's Mortar EQ deck.
Mortar was a very solid pick because there's no spells on the board, so it will be good on defense, and it also has a lot of offense. As you can see, Ryley's deck is very offensive. That will be really interesting to see.
Delivery here for the Pigs primarily. And let's get into Ryley's last Queen. 2 picks. And the Queen.
He wanted to pick Skeletons, Ryley, but since Ian took them, he had to pick Goblin Gang. Prince.
And this is again, like, you talk about this deck is so weird, so all over the place. And so at one part you go, hey, what's the synergy here? But then Ian has to also contend with what defenses do I play? And the NATO pick for Ryley to make sure that Ian can't control the Minor with that. Very nice.
I also think he picked NATO because he doesn't have Log to defend RG. So maybe it's also to add some more defense to his deck.
So here we go. Potentially match point here, or it is match point for Ryley. Potentially match over with a win by Ryley, or do we go to a full 5? And
once again, Ian didn't pick a big spell, but there was only Rocket on the board, so, and he didn't have Minor. He wanted to go for Minor, but since he couldn't.
And now, so this is the question though, right? Is obviously Rocket would be decent against Queen. Decent against a big thick Pigs push, right? The kind that where it all gets stacked up at the board. And just a little ahead, maybe about a quarter elixir to a half for Ian right now as he sends the Fire Spirit to the right for some chip.
I feel like Ryley will win just because Ian doesn't have big spell and only has RG, but I don't know. This is a very nice push.
Ooh,
he realized
wow. Go ahead, Jebas.
He didn't have anything to defend the Dark Prince. That was a really, really smart push. Just like that, Ian is shutting my prediction up and taking the tower.
And Ryley calling an early good game here. So we might be going to a game 5, and looks like Ryley's just packing up shop here and going, okay, you got me, game number 5. And yeah, the great timing there to put the Royal Giant on skates with the Dark Prince behind it to make sure it could get past the play with the mortar to try to pick it up. And at that point, just not a whole lot that Ryley could do. And here we go, game number 5 coming. So, build as a best of 5 doesn't always turn into a best of 5, but you wanted to see these guys go a full 5 games. Now you're going to get it.
I feel like maybe Ryley should have saved his minor or his prince in single elixir because of that. Like I said at the beginning of the game, his deck was very offensive, and he also picked the NATO to defend RG, but then he forgot about the support cards. So, yeah.
Well, either way, we have what's certain to be a fairly exciting 5th and final game. Let's go ahead and jump in as they are ready to pick. And I love how fast we can get through the games with these as well, right? You can just jump in and get your picks going.
There's no really not a lot of stuff going on between games, so yeah. And you can request because, like, for example, if there's competitive, then before the best of 5, my opponent likes to pick these cards a lot. He doesn't like to pick these. These 5 cards are really good against them most of the time. So you don't really need time in between games,
Yeah, and at the minimum, the most important time is those first 15, 20 seconds. You look at the board and go, okay, is there something really important out here that I have to pick because there's no counters for it, or my opponent will get it and there will be counters for it.
Do you think it if there was, like, for example, a live event or something, do you think it would they would be allowed the players to have someone next to them helping them picking the decks, the cards as well?
I mean, just like logistically, that's hard to do, right? It just makes things complicated from a production logistics standpoint, which is the main reason why you didn't have coaches on stage at Worlds this year. Or one of the main reasons you didn't have coaches on stage. It's one more person you have to coordinate all the time. And I think that this is interesting in that you really have to make decisions so fast on the fly. I almost think having a coach up there picking with you would be worse rather than better. I think it's better to train how you pick than in 15 seconds be trying to make these rapid-fire decisions as part of a 2-person group.
It depends, because if you practice with that person, you will have the mental. You would be quick anyways, and also in between. For example, when Ian is speaking, Ryley would be talking to the person as well, and they would already have ideas.
Sure. That's a really.
Sometimes you can miss something, and then the person next to you will remind you of that as well. Those little things can also count. But it also makes sense that the player needs to pick the decks by himself, which was the whole point of this CRL World Finals.
This is fascinating. Just talking about some of the decision-making process, Ian, on his second round of picking, he picks Queen and Lightning back-to-back to make sure that Ryley can't get the counter to Queen. So very, very nicely chosen there by Ian, who rounds out a pretty decent, fairly fast cycle Royal Giant deck. I think my only big concern here for Ian is that it's got a lot of offense, and that defense is minuscule.
I also like Ryley's deck because there's no log on the board, so Dart Goblin, Archers, and Rascal will get a lot of value.
So here we go. Dart Goblin counters the Fire Spirit. Remember, this is game 5. We'll have a winner here in just a few minutes.
The E-Spirit was a very smart one. He didn't have any resets for the Mighty Mine. Now he has the E-Spirit.
So double Spirit, and this deck gets around. You can see that fastest 4-card cycle is going to be 5 cards, or 5 elixir, but fastest 3-card cycle is only 3. So if we get the triple elixir and he gets a Queen down and can go like RG, Fire Spirit, Skeletons, E-Spirit, RG, which would be absolutely insane. Maybe Rascal's not in cycle here, so we'll see what he does if he just kind of lets the Mighty Miner tank a lot of this. Dart Goblin will step up to help get that done. Bar Barrel gets the Dart Goblin out of the way.
Flying Machine will be very interesting on this matchup. Ian only has the Queen to defend it, so once Queen is out of cycle, Ryley can really breach spam.
Yeah, it's interesting that he used used it in response to the Queen in that case.
Maybe he didn't have anything in cycle.
And Ian knows he's sending that RG directly into a whole lot of DPS here. And there goes the Mighty Miner. E-Spirit resets for a moment. Mighty Miner does get back on the RG. So RG gets shredded, but still shots fired 23-31.
That E-Spirit Bar Barrel was very, very good. It allowed Ian to get, I don't know if it was 3 hits, but yeah, you got a lot of damage with it. Even though this is better for Ryley in triple, I think he can place more bait cards, but I'm not really sure.
It'll be an interesting question, right? The bait cards all coming out versus the ability for that 3 Elixir 3-card cycle to stack Cannon Carts and or Royal Giants. I'll be very curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and Ian has a lightning, so as long as he doesn't... Oh! I was gonna say, as long as he doesn't receive, let's say, silly damage, and just like that the Goblin Dart gets on the tower, he shouldn't be receiving those little hits. Those are the ones that make the difference. He could lightning cycle.
Keep in mind that we haven't seen that lightning yet, and once we get into some of the later phases, that mortar might not be as devastating here. Flying Machine staying up pretty high here. AQ does get on the Flying Machine finally. Arrows to try to get her down, and
nice arrow.
Archer does it. Very nice arrows.
Just like that, because of the Dart Goblin mistake, Ryley has the damage lead, but maybe it's still not enough since Ian has a lightning on his pocket.
Here we go. Royal Giant down, Cannon Cart behind. Ryley taking his time there, giving up some elixir,
Ryley,
which, oof.
Okay, Ryley was waiting for the lightning to come on so he could place the mortar. Oh, that's a hit. Ooh.
1707 to 1977. AQ up high. And Cannon Cart will get shut down, but so will the Dart Goblin. And now Archer Queen with Royal Giant behind. Rascals to play. Mortar needs to come in here for Ryley, but not enough elixir for Mortar in time. And there you go. Now pushes the RG back, but shots in, a ton of shots in, down to 994. Ryley in a lot of trouble as Ian goes with his next Cannon Cart here to triple.
Ryley made a mistake there. He placed the Flying Machine wrong because Ian had Queen on his hand, so he couldn't really defend the Flying Machine because he didn't have anything. And also he placed some bad Dart Goblin. But look at this damage. He just got with the Flying Machine, all because Queen wasn't in cycle.
A lot of damage on the Flying Machine. RG gets a very important hit, and right back to Royal Giant one more time. Mortar nowhere in sight. Can Ryley get back there? No, the cycle's not fast enough, and Ian's going to go 1, Ian's going to go 2, and Ian battles back to get the win in this best of 5. What a wild and fun back and forth matchup this was. Jebas, we saw a little bit of everything here. We saw them playing some comfort. We saw them getting weird with the decks. We saw kind of some mind game stealing from each other. And in the end, we saw just that last, I think this last matchup, if anything we saw the most of, it's, again, that X factor of you're playing a deck you have almost assuredly never played before. And that really changes the math and how comfortable you are during the gameplay. Yeah,
the MVP here was the fast cycle, obviously, and the E-Spirit. Ian's E-Spirit got a lot of value, and because of that, I'm not sure how many hits he got, but he got at least 6 RG hits during the game. That's very impressive.
A whole lot of RG hits against a Mortar deck in particular, too, right? So
exactly.
Very, very difficult. Well, this is so much fun. What a great best of 5. For those of you who are watching right now, I'll put Jebas' Twitter in the description below, but it's @xjebas, UZ, one of the best coaches in the business, of course, coming off of a world championship with Mohamed Light. Jebas, thank you so much. Now that we're done with the matchup, thoughts, now that you've cast one, you've really been involved in one of these ones right here. I know we have maybe some fun stuff coming up soon, but thoughts on the competitiveness of Mega Draft right now?
I really like how you can see, for example, since you need to play different decks, you can see some players sometimes can struggle and others can be very creative. And I also really like to discuss and to see the deck construction after and during the games. Yeah, because sometimes you see, oh, if he just picked this card,
oh yeah,
I think he would have had a great matchup. Or if he didn't have chosen the other one, then he would have had a good shot on winning the game.
Well, it's certainly
Very
been fascinating, and thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you watching at home, thanks so much for watching this. It's going to be a really fun year. It's already a great year for Clash Royale and for this channel here in 2023. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, like this video. Let me know who you want to see in a best of 5 for Mega Draft mode. I'll try to make it happen. We're doing a ton of Mega Draft content here, and of course, as we kick off into CRL 2023 very soon, you'll see more CRL-related stuff right here on the channel. That's it for today. As always, thanks for watching, and be excellent to each other. Peace.
Bye, guys.